Okay, so next we're going to be doing a gradient wash, or you can also call it a graded wash. And that is where we're going to go from a true version of the color, and we're going to gradually add water to it, which is going to lighten it. So basically it's going to go from a dark version of blue to a light version of blue. So the technique is very similar to the flat wash. That's why the flat wash is so important. I want to make sure that I have a nice ratio of paint to water mix so that the paint will flow nicely. I want to make sure that I tilt my paper, and then again, that bead is really important. One thing that is different this time is I have a container for my dirty water that I've been using to mix up the blue, and then this is just pure clean water. So you actually need 2 cups. You need one of just pure clean water for a gradient. So I'm going to start off by making sure that my brush is loaded, and I want that, remember, I want that bead to start. And notice that I drew myself a long and skinny rectangle, and that is because, again, I really think it's super important to be trying to learn how to stay within the lines. So as I go back and forth, same thing, notice how I kind of like take my brush back and forth. So I'm gonna go down a couple, like maybe an inch or so, and then what I'm gonna do, the difference with this technique is I'm gonna take and I'm gonna dip into the clean water, and then I'm gonna, about just a little bit above, I'm gonna mix that clean water in, and then continue to pull down. And go a little ways again, and then I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna clean water, a little bit above the bead, and then the clean water, you kind of like mix it and the clean water flows down because of gravity if you're using the tilt. Some more water. Some more water. Some more water. Some more water. Notice that when I add the water in, I do it above the bead, like a 1/4 of an inch above the bead. More water. Still trying to stay within the lines. Some more water. So I'm slowly lightening. Okay, so a trick that you can do here, you see that I have this pretty big bead of water. I'm gonna dry off my brush, and I'm gonna try and squeegee some of that up by just continuously drying off. I don't wanna let it go all the way away, but I wanna pick up a good chunk of it, and then now just do the same thing. This is gonna make it, here at the end, kind of go almost just to water. I'm still gonna be left with a bead at the end. And just like with the graded wash, I want to pick that up. So I dry my brush. You can use a different brush if you want, or you can just dry the brush that you have and just scoop up, squeegee up that excess. So it went from a darker version of blue to a light version of blue. It's called a gradient. So you might want to practice this a couple times. Remember, draw the rectangle first and then try and stay within the lines. It's great practice. And then once you start to get the hang of it, what you want to do is you want to make yourself some sort of shape. And then do the same thing, do the same gradient, but then stay within the shape. Because control of being able to know exactly where you're putting the watercolor with all of the techniques is really important. You need to be able to learn how to do that technique, controlling it within these varied edges. So give it a try, have some fun. Talk to you next time.